huge question facing thousands of students across the country this year is what they should do next. I'm talking about students who are looking at the prospect of undertaking post-graduation courses, specializations, some of them in top-class universities and places of education at very steep costs. As we all know, from about the end of March, all education has moved online, and it will continue to be like this for the foreseeable future. The question then is it really worth the money to spend and get into a top management school or a top engineering school? Is it okay then to just take a gap year? Do you really know at this point what your job prospects are like at the end of that course? Has everything really changed? These are questions that we know a lot of people are asking themselves right now, which is why we thought we will get together some of the biggest names in education in India. Higher education is what I'm talking about, and get a clear picture from them. So I'm happy to welcome on the show today Nitish Jain, who's the president of SP Jain School of Global Management, and Dr. Philip Zerillo, who's the deputy dean of ISB. Welcome to both of you, and great to have you on the show today. Mr. Jain, just a simple question for us to understand. Is it now beyond doubt that at least for the rest of this calendar year, education and classes will be largely virtual? And in that light, what is the kind of admission process that you're seeing?
Glad to be here with you, Tamanna. I don't think education would necessarily be online. Let's consider our Dubai campus. Now, Dubai has already announced that students are welcome to go to Dubai with no quarantine, but with full testing starting September. So our students clearly have the choice to go to Dubai. But in addition, I think doing online is a great option for students. It carries a stigma that it is not effective, but that is wholly untrue. In fact, online can even be better than on campus on many counts.
Is it really better though? Dr. Zerillo, where do you come in? I mean, Mr. Jain speaks about the Dubai campus. What has been your experience and your understanding so far? Are we looking at mostly online learning or some kind of a blend for the rest of the calendar year and as far as we can see into 2021?
Yeah, I think most of the schools are opting for some sort of a blend, and they're looking at things such as choices, right, for people. Some people may want to come to the campuses and have the on-campus experience. Others may choose to stay at home out of safety concerns or family concerns or because of the uncertainty involved. So I think, there's going to be a lot of choices are going to be given out between the various universities this year. But I think, we're going to see a lot more online through the end of this calendar year than we probably would have expected to see when this started back in March. Now, to go to the other part of your question, which is online really okay, or is it really good? Look, there's a lot of things in online education that we can do today that we can't do in a live classroom. So, I know that the peer-to-peer opportunities for people to get together and spend time together on these glorious campuses is a very big draw to the physical campuses. And certainly that may be something that we give up. On the other hand, when I start to look at the lessons and lesson plans and some of the things that we're able to do now with animation and illustration on the asynchronous material, I mean, it's things that we couldn't have done as professors, right? We have the ability to make movies, if you will.
Yeah. Let me just clarify what my question is, Dr. Zerillo. It's not that is online good enough. I mean, that's what we have right now. So it's barely a question. It's not too much of a choice. My question is it still worth the kind of money that Indian students pay for these very highly prestigious degrees in some of the most beautiful campuses, when the whole experience is going to be very different. The peer-to-peer learning, the face-to-face interaction with professors, and that whole experiential part of it is very much the reason that people opt for these. Is it worth it in terms of how much they spend? And then, do we need to relook at the whole situation?
So a couple of things I think that I would ask, or I'd step back and pause for just a second and ask yourself holistically about what the education is about and what were the components that make up the value proposition that is education. Of course, to each individual, those are going to be different, right? There are some people that very, very, very much want that online, or very much want the in-person learning experience. They want that time on the campus. They want that peer-to-peer interaction and influence that takes place face-to-face. Okay. On the other hand, there are large segments of the population that are very comfortable learning online. They communicate online. They've learned how to interact, how to have this peer-to-peer interaction online. Now, if I think about what started this university, it was the idea of bringing a different pedagogy to India, right? Is some of the best of the West faculty coming out here and coming back home on a regular basis. Well, all of that is still going to be there, right? We're still going to have those faculty teaching. We're still going to have the same alumni network. We're still going to have the same placement offices. We're still, so many of the things remain in place. Yeah, there are a few things that are going to be different about this online. I'm not sure, to somebody my age group, I would have probably found this very, very difficult, or it would have changed my opinions. On the other hand, I have a son who's 25 years old, and he says, I want to go to an online university. I don't want to go for an in-person experience. I'm very comfortable online. I've had a lot of classes this way. So I think there's a different group with a different value proposition.
Okay, fair point. But Mr. Jain, let me bring that question to you, and it's right down to the cost and whether you're going to see the kind of appetite to shell out that money. I mean, for a top class management degree, it's anywhere between 20 to 35 lakhs a year, all inclusive, and maybe upward depending on what kind of a campus it is, etc. Right now we have a situation where there is uncertainty all over the world, so there is no clear outcome of what kind of a career this individual will have after completing the course. So I ask you the same question: is the value for money there? And the bottom line is that is the question.
Let me answer your question in two parts, because actually you've asked two questions. So let me answer the first one. What sort of student experience would a student get online? Now, we have focused on making the education borderless. In fact, we have asked ourselves a question: why do you even need four walls to deliver an education experience? So we have tied up with 3 other European universities, and our students would share the same classroom with with students from these other universities, thereby enriching the experience. The second part is you spoke about jobs. Now, according to me, if you just look at the stock markets, you look at the strength of the rupee, what is it telling you? It's telling you that the economy is going to rebound quicker than what most people had thought. So don't look at what it is right now today, but look at 12 months from today. And 12 months from today, surely we expect the economy to be humming. Let me share one more point with you, that today we are at a red light. Think of it like you're driving a car and you're on a red light. But guess what happens after red? The lights turn green. And once the lights turn green, you slam the accelerator and you go to your fastest level. that is what is going to happen 12 months from now. And we have history to prove it. What happened in 2010? The economy was suddenly went into top gear. So there are a lot of good reasons to continue to study online.
Yes.
You can even come on campus if you want. You know, as Phil was saying, that you can have the on-campus experience if you feel like, but we're giving students a second choice, which is online, and you choose depending on your preferences.
No, but can you? No, but Mr. Jain, within India, is the on-campus experience something where there is visibility? I mean, can you today tell us clearly for our viewers by when there would be on-campus facilities available for students? Because right now, nobody knows. Everyone's chasing after some vaccine which is going to come at some point.
I think vaccines are going to come 12 months or later. So let's not count on a vaccine. But I believe campuses would start physically come September. How would they start? They would count on testing. It's the same way Dubai started. So you go get your test done, and if you're clean, then you can come to the campus. And then there are a lot of SOPs that you have on the campus, which include how you sit, the temperature monitoring, and there are lots of things. I mean, we have a list of 30 points which we would do different to make the campus a safe experience. So there is a possibility for students to come back to a physical campus, but it won't be the same sort of experience that they had last year, because they won't be sitting next to each other. Even in the cafeteria, they have to maintain distance. They would have to enter the classroom only one at a time. So the experience wouldn't exactly be the same, but it's available. And I think the online experience is surely gone way higher than what people think it to be. It's just simply way higher. In fact, we call it premium learning online.
Yeah. So should students pay the same premium fees if it is a very different proposition? Because doesn't the cost of educating each student come down drastically? This question first for Mr. Jain. And if you think about it, in a sense, right now, even premium institutions like yourself are competing with ed tech companies which are tailoring courses for students with a very different value proposition and a very different fee structure.
You know, I would disagree with you, Tamanna, because finally you go to a college for the faculty. EdTech don't have faculty. And so who's going to teach you? So in our case, we have very high-end video conferencing equipment. It's called ELO. Using ELO, you can actually mimic a classroom in the comfort of your home, in the safety of your home. And the faculty teaching are the same professors who would have taught normally in the on-campus model. You do the same sort of curriculum. You have the same sort of examinations. And finally, they get the same sort of jobs. And that's the very important point. We can enhance the education, in fact, because of making it borderless. Borderless, not just because students from different countries are sharing the same classroom, but the guest speakers who are from all over the world are now going to be a part of the learning experience. And hence, I think people are making a mistake thinking that online needs to be cheaper. There is just no reason for it to be cheaper. It's what you're getting. The value of that education is what people are paying for. EdTech can't do it. EdTech has some app software. They just don't cut it.
Dr. Zirillo, do you want to comment on that point? I mean, there is competition out there in terms of a lot of material which is available online. And do you also think that there is no merit in reducing the fee structure at a time when income levels have been hit all around, job propositions look bleak, at least as of now, though of course Mr. Jain is very optimistic. Do you think you can really charge the same for what is essentially a very different experience, which costs you less?
Well, actually, if I look at the cost, it doesn't cost us less. It actually costs us more. There need to be people in the classroom while you're operating cameras and things like this. We have 3 cameras in the room, and we're recreating the classroom with a lot of technology. I wish I could say that I'm more technologically savvy, but if something goes wrong, we have to have technicians in that room. On the other hand, when I'm using chalk and I'm talking, that's not quite the same case. So the cost structure is quite a bit different. Secondly, I'd like to comment, as Dr. Jain mentioned a little bit earlier, is that the access to faculty now is borderless. And, one of the things we've found is some of the professors that had stopped wanting to travel all the way to India are now coming out of the woodwork saying, can I help? Can I be a part of things? Can I help the young people? And what we're seeing is this outpouring from around the world of people that want to be a part of the educational process here. And we're getting what I would call fantastic faculty inquiring about coming back and teaching again at ISB. So I think, some of the things that we have to recognize is that it is really the experience of the classmates that you have, how you go through the examination process, the batch of people that come in our admissions process. All of these things are still very much in place. A big part of going to school is who you go to school with and who teaches you. And those things haven't changed. Just the technology has. Still, when you have group assignments, you're going to work on those assignments with those brilliant classmates. Still, when you take your examinations, you're going to compete with those brilliant classmates. And you're still going to be taught by those brilliant faculty.
Yeah. Dr. Zirolo, what is the kind of, inquiries for admission that ISB has had this year? Is it on par with all the other years, or have the admissions, the inquiries dropped?
So let me say a couple of quick things. First of all, our year, or our recruiting year, was over by March. So, we had gone through pretty much our entire recruiting cycle, and we were down to the last stages of our class. We did have a good year this year recruiting. We're probably one of the few institutions in the world that was reporting an uptick in their applications. On the other hand, if you're looking at today, looking at things like our part-time programs or modular programs for people who are looking to do their MBA while they're working, our numbers or our applications are up dramatically in those programs.
Okay. Mr. Jain, same question to you. Are your applications at the same levels as last year? Do you really think that people at this time are going to give up their jobs to study further, or invest in an additional degree right now?
We have programs, Tamanna, at 3 different levels. So the first I'll talk about is the executive MBA. That's for part-time students. Typically, there would be about 12 to 15 years work experience. For this cohort, we've seen actually a 50% growth in numbers. And it's from not just India, it's from around the world. So we can see a huge uptick for the part-time executive MBA. When we look at a full-time MBA, and we have a junior MBA that we call MGB, for these we can see a growth, not a decline, a growth of about 15 to 20%. So it's still growing because students believe that they will get great jobs once they graduate. and there's just history to go by. So I'm relying on what's happened in past situations. And then lastly, we have the undergraduate program. The undergraduate program so far is down 20%. That's because students are playing a wait and watch. It's not that they're joining anywhere else either. They're just waiting. They're waiting to see what may happen because they still have time. So a lot of them have actually accepted offers with SP Jain, but they're still kind of waiting to see if they would finally join. Now, I want to say one thing more, that a lot of students who join SP Jain are the sort of students who also go to the UK, Europe, and to the US, Canada. Now, in today's situation, nobody wants to go to the US and Canada. I mean, try sitting on a plane with a mask on for 15 hours. It's tough. And when you US, you don't know what it's going to be like. So we just getting these students to join us.
Yes, you're being polite. Yeah, no, absolutely. You're being polite, Mr. Jain. As far as the US is concerned, yeah, it's not in a very welcoming mood right now. So that changes things as well. But thank you for joining us and giving us that insight to a question I think many are asking themselves right now. Is this the right time to sort of take a gap here, add to your skills, make that investment in the hopes of something better? Or is it the time to conserve and figure out what your next move is, or wait and watch? I want to thank both of you once again for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we come back, India's mega Google pitch, they will invest $10 billion over the next 5 to 7 years. What are they going to invest in? We're coming back with all of those details.